Flosstube number 44. It is now 2026 and I have done some stitching, embroidery, and I was ready to share it with you again. My name is Hanneke if you're new here, and I have been on Flosstube now for well over 2.5 years, I think. And I share my cross stitch, and I also do other kinds of embroidery that I put at the end of the video if you're interested. Thank you very much for tuning in. For those who are recurring, I do appreciate the support. I appreciate the comments, the kindness shown. So thank you very much. And it's always lovely if I receive an email of people who are stitching the same thing that I'm stitching or something like that. And it's always lovely to receive that. So thank you very much for those who've done that. I have fully finishes, a finish that is not yet fully finished. I have one new start, the one that I planned last time, which is Serenity by Teresa Colgate. And then I have, I think, about 6 pieces that I've made progress on. And then I have an absolutely stunning and enormous thrift find, and I hope you will like it too. I fell in love with it the moment I saw it, and I might want to make a reproduction of it, but I don't know yet. But I will explain that later on. And then I have some embroidery pieces to share with you. But as always, we start with my teacup. I went thrifting. I go thrifting now every Friday morning, so I've just been as well. And I go to my local thrift shop, which is, I think, about 4 minutes by bicycle. And they are fantastic. They're not expensive, and they have many lovely things. And I found 2 Royal Albert teacups in perfect condition for only €4.50, which is very cheap. And I think it's an absolutely lovely cup. It's perfect for spring and summer. It doesn't have a name, so it is in that period that Royal Albert didn't give any names to their new designs. This is very pretty. And then the saucer is very lovely. So isn't that perfect for spring? And we're not at spring yet, but we should be prepared. So there we are, that's my teacup. And I think it's very sweet. And I got another one which has lovely pink colors. And there was a third one, but I already have that one. So I didn't bring that. Right, so I've got my cup of tea. I hope you've got something to drink as well. And we'll just go right in. And my first piece to show you is my Wildflowers. And some of you might have seen it on a short. I put out a short on this one. And I also put it on Instagram because I was too proud. Wildflowers, for those of you who don't know, is a reproduction that I made. And it is from an armrest of an embroidered or cross-stitched sofa that is in a museum in the Netherlands. And they have given me permission to make a reproduction of it, and you can find it in my Etsy shop if you wish to stitch it as well. And the frame, I went to het Garenhuis in Ghent. So that is relatively close to me. I live in Middelburg in the Netherlands, which is the south of the Netherlands. And there every Saturday, I think it's Saturday and Sunday, there is a direct bus connection to Ghent. So I went over there, and they had it framed for me. And they are fantastic framers. They take their time, but it is absolutely perfect once you receive it back. Now we had some trouble finding the right frame the first time. I picked a frame at the same time that I picked a frame for Moon Deer, and it was dark green. And unfortunately, they found out that the manufacturer didn't have it anymore, or I'm not sure, but it was no longer available basically. And so when I picked up Moon Deer, we looked for another frame and it was difficult to find a frame. We put so many things against it. And we ended up with this sort of weird green. I call this DMC 371 because that's the color that I've used a lot in this. Um, and it matched perfectly. And so that's what we went for. And normally I go for darker frames, so a darker surrounding. But when I put the frame, sort of the example corner next to it, I thought that's perfect. The colors seem to pop in this frame. So when I walked into the shop and I couldn't find it at first, so she had to point it out to me. But I'm so pleased. The moment I saw it, I thought, yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. So here we are. I do not frame it with glass or have it framed with glass. I prefer the softness to, I don't know, I prefer to not have anything between my eye and the fabric. So yeah, I think it's stunning and I'm very, very happy with it. So having said that, I have been working on the sort of the backrest of that sofa, and I've been given permission to make a reproduction of that as well. And I will put in a picture on one side or the other of that backrest. And I've been charting it, and I decided to make changes. So it is a reproduction, but I have taken elements from different parts of that long shape and created it and sort of shaped it into more of an oval pattern. So again, I will put in a picture somewhere so you can see it. Um, and I think it is the sweetest pattern. It is slightly smaller than this one. Quite a lot of colors are similar to what I've used in here. There is just a different accent. So here there is quite bright red. In the other one, there is a lot of the pink, the darker pinks that I've used in here. Um, so it very much goes with this, but it is a different pattern with different colors um, or with different accents in the colors. I think that's better. And so I will start stitching it. I think in about 2 weeks I have a holiday, a week holiday, and I think that's when I will start stitching the piece. And I look forward to it. I cannot wait actually, because how stunning will it be to have this one? And I'll put a picture above this one of the charted piece. That'd be lovely, wouldn't it, to have both of those? So I cannot wait to start on that. And again, I've asked permission to make the changes and everything, and they said it was great. So yeah, we're going with that. And I hope you like it too, and you'll enjoy the progress of me stitching it, and then obviously it will come to my Etsy shop. And my aim is sort of June. That would be great if I could put it out in June. Um, but we'll see. There's no rushing. I do want to do this correctly because I know what that brings. With this one, I was very pernickety. Is that a word? I think so. But yeah, I was very specific about colors, and I think it has led to a pattern that I'm very proud of. So I'll do that again. Right. I'm also doing my own designing because I'm doing a course on haute couture embroidery, which is a course that is not just about the techniques of haute couture embroidery, but it is also about how to unlock creativity in your life. And the techniques that she is giving me have, I don't know what they do, but they unlock something inside me and it makes me want to create things and design things, even cross stitch things. So during my Christmas holiday, my sister and I went to Paleis at Loo, which is one of the main palaces in the Netherlands, and it's a beautiful place to visit. And then my parents and I went to the Menkemaborg, which is in Groningen, which is a stately home. and I was sort of struck by all the chandeliers that I saw everywhere, and I thought, wouldn't that be a nice design to make that into a pattern? And I think I've started I've started designing. Then at some point I thought, this is it. I'm going to start stitching. I started stitching. I think I was halfway, decided this wasn't it, and started again. And I did that, I think, twice or three times. So it was quite the process. But I'm very pleased with how it turned out, and I'm gonna show it to you. I framed it into a thrifted frame that I found again at my local thrift shop, and I think it is absolutely lovely. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I had it bigger. It was sort of, there was a row underneath here still, and it was sort of more triangular shaped at first, and it felt very bulky. And then once I took that out, which is very difficult to do, by the way, I just took it out, and then I thought that's better. And then I sort of elongated this a bit. So yeah, I had a whole rearranging and changing and adding into it, and this is what it became, and I love it. I stitched this on 20 count white Ada, and I stitched it with Roxy Flosco Delft Blue. Love that. Now I know that for most Dutch people, Roxy Flosco is more difficult to get. You can order it, um, and they will send it. Uh, but obviously DMC is more easily available. And I put in the pattern a um, color of DMC that is very similar to this. I think it is 809. But you can use any color. You could beautifully do this in red, or you can have a darker background and stitch it in white, similarly to the other two patterns I put out this year. But yeah, this one I think is lovely, and I love the blue. Love the blue. I love the candles. I think the chandeliers with the real candles to me are most romantic and pretty. And I love the leaves and the roses. I thought it was exactly what I wanted to do. And if I ever buy a chandelier, it has to look like this. So yeah, I love it. It is slightly bigger in stitch count than the other two that I put out. This one has over 3,000 stitches. But it is one color, so you go very, very quickly. And this one has a bit of variegation, which I quite like. But it doesn't need variegation. You can just stitch it in a solid color if you want. But I'm very happy with this. And you can find this by the time that I put out my Flosstube. You can find this in Etsy. So if you're interested, just go to my Etsy shop and there you will find it. And if you see this during the weekend that I put it out, I will put a sale on as well. So yes, I'm very happy. It's my third pattern this year, and I cannot believe that I've sort of finally been able um, to do this. Before I couldn't work it out with all the crosses and the whatnot, but I found a way to do it, and I'm very pleased about that. So yeah, I'm working on a fourth, which is more like I'm sticking to the vintage brocante kind of theme, shabby chic, because I think that works for me. And I'm working now on sort of like a cupboard, shelves with stuff on it situation. But we'll see. I hope this time I don't have to start it and then stop it and then start it again. But the result is this, and I'm very pleased with that. So there you go. There you go. Those are my fully finishes. My next one is a finish. It is not yet framed. It is by JBW Designs, and I've wanted to stitch this one, I think, forever since he put it out. This is Eliza's Birds. and I stitched it on grey, a very soft grey. And I've made one change. I've got all the called for colors, which is a lot of specialty floss. But with this bird, I swapped the colors around. So it was supposed to be the lighter color was supposed to be most of it, and then the darker color was supposed to be what is now light. So I just swapped it around because I preferred a slightly darker bird, and I think that is because I have a lighter fabric. Um, but I used the exact colors that were supposed to be in that bird. And I don't know what it is, but I really like this one. And because I stitched it on 20 count, it is really small. It's tiny. But I think it's very pretty. And the colors are so sweet. And because you only use a tiny little bit of each color, it means that I've now also got extra colors in my stash. So that's very nice too, because these are beautiful. I did not stitch the name and the dates. So I only stitched the motif. Isn't that pretty? Now, this morning I went thrifting just now, and I found this frame, this color, and I quite liked it. And I think I'm going to frame it in this. But this is very tiny. So even in the frame, which is the smallest frame you can find, regular frame, it sort of comes to here. So I think I'm going to put a fabric row or something like that down there, and then I'll frame it in this frame. It is darkish grey, a bit brownish grey. Very interesting color. And I thought that might be nice, but I haven't had time yet to put it in there. But I think that's what I'll do. So that is a finish. Yeah, very lovely design. I've stitched two now by Judy, and I really like her designs. They're very pretty. I was going to show you this. When I went to het Garenhuis to pick up my framed piece, they always have several framed pieces sort of scattered around because people are about to collect them. And this piece was fully framed and waiting to be collected, and I fell in love with it again. I purchased this quite a while ago now, and it was massive. It was genuinely large, but it was so pretty, and I thought I have to stitch that. So I've taken it out of my stash and I'm going to source the colors. Now there's quite a lot of gentle arts in here, and some of them I have and some of them I don't have. So I have to decide whether I'm gonna change the colors or purchase the actual colors. But this was, I don't know, this does not do it justice. That was the finding, basically. Stunning frames. Maybe if you're watching and it was yours that was stood there, stunning work, beautiful. And now I have to stitch this. So yeah, I'll get there. I will make sure to get the colors and get started. Now I did start a new one, and I was lovely to find out that there were others who were stitching this one or starting this one. And me and I think it was Kathy uh, are both stitching this as a Sunday stitch. So if you want to join in with that, feel free because it is a lovely Sunday stitch to work on. This is Serenity by Teresa Koget. And I fell in love with this design when she put it out. I realized it was a very big one, put it off, and here I am. I've started it. I am going to take my time, I've decided. It is a lovely stitch. I want to be serene when I stitch it. So there are no deadlines or even goals in my head that I want to meet. I'm just stitching when I want to stitch, and I stitch as long as I want, and that's it. And one day it will be finished. Most of you start at the top row, which is the most stunning row. Every time I see that, I think, oh, that's beautiful. I, of course, start here because that's what I always do. It's because I stitch in hand and it makes it easier. So that's where I've started, and I'm using all the called for colors except for one, the whitish color that you see here and you see here in stars. I don't know what she started it as, but I think it was ecru. And for me, that was too dark. So I have changed it to, I think, 3866, which is more white. So that's my only change. And this is where I am. Isn't that pretty? Look at those reds popping off. Beautiful butterfly in that pot. Yeah, I love this. I absolutely love this. There is a big border, and I know some of you do a border and then you do the rest. And I like to sort of stitch my border as I go along. So my next step is to stitch this section of the border, and then I will stitch the leaves sort of towards the word Serenity. But I absolutely love this, and I'm so happy I started it. There's quite a lot of stitching in this. You know, it is a very, very big piece. You know, we've got plenty of stitching to go, but it is great fun. And like I said, I do this every Sunday. It is nice to know that at least Kathy is stitching with me, and maybe others of you want to join in. And it suits for a Sunday, a stitch like this. And the colors are stunning. I don't know what she does with them, but she's great with colors. Yeah. So happy with that start. That was a good decision. Let me have a cup of tea. Then my progress. This very, very sweet pattern, which is also the Artful Offerings, which is the same as the one I just shown that I really want to start. And it's such a sweet pattern. And I'd love to have this one as a book sleeve or a book cover. I don't know, it looks to me like a book that is laying open. The only change I'm making with this one is that I won't stitch all the way down here. I've sort of stopped there. Um, yeah, I don't think it has to go all the way down. Very lovely pattern. I wanted to change the colors, ended up not doing it. Very pleased with that. And I think this is an XG Design fabric, which is a 20 count. And because she has dyed it, it is smaller than a 20 count, but it is lovely to stitch on. And it is a lovely color. And as you can see, I've done quite a lot. I've added half of these flower section down here. Then I stitched the half of the bow basically, and all the leaves up here, and then some more letters. And it is just a delightful little stitch. I like the colors. I like the sort of the progress, and it's also, if you have 5 minutes, you can do a letter. I'm sort of coming towards the letters at the top. So, when you have a second, stitch the T, for instance. So you don't have to stitch on this for a long time. You can just do a little bit each time. And those birds are so sweet. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this one. It is an absolutely lovely stitch. Very pretty. And I really like this fabric. I really like the fabric. Also because it is so tiny. It feels like I'm, yeah, stitching very small. But it feels very nice in the hand. So there you go. That's that one. And love the blue. I didn't think I would, but I love the blue. The next one is a Croquette, Crocette, à Gogo. Keep calm and cross stitch. Now the front only has a picture of the sections separately in pillows. I've decided to stitch it as the sort of sampler that uh, the way it is charted, basically. They've charted it as a sampler. And I really enjoy this one too. I like the colors on this one a lot. And here we are. I have started a new row. Yeah, the colors are very sweet with the blue and the. I think this one would also be color-wise, it would be perfect for a children's room or something. But theme-wise, it is perfect for a craft room. So I've done the little flowers at the top. I don't stitch on this very often because I do have to say those flowers are repeated again and again and again. So it does, I think if you stitch it in one go, it feel very repetitive. Um, but it doesn't for me because I stitch a section and then I put it away for the next month. And the next section I will do is right here, which is basically this one, but the colors are turned round. And then I will move over to the big section here. Isn't that sweet? This is also a 20 count. I love stitching on 20 count. And again, I got a message from someone saying I prefer to stitch on Ada, and why do some people not appreciate Ada? And I hope all of you know that I do appreciate Ada, and there's no reason to feel like you're less good of a stitcher because you stitch on Ada. There's no need for that. There are more YouTubers who only stitch on Ada. And it's just what your preference, I think. It is just what you prefer doing. Because stitching is about having fun. And if you have fun on an Ada 14 count, then that's what you should be stitching on. And this is lovely. And I love the 20 count with one strand of floss. And this is all DMC called for. And it's just lovely. It has a lovely effect. I love these colors. Then my next one is by Jacob from Modern Folk Embroidery. And this piece, this is another one that would be good for a Sunday because it is one color and you can just keep going basically. It is also one that I love stitching on in the morning because I can get 300 stitches done very, very quickly. But it is a lot of stitching because I don't think am I at 25%? I don't think I am. Or maybe just about, but it is an enormous stitch. I have done this section here, and then I decided to leave that side and start stitching right here. Now, like I said last time, I've added mistakenly an extra stitch here somewhere, and I'm just carrying that through. So it isn't, if you're thinking she seems to have missed a few things, I've added a cross here and there. Yes, I have. That is correct. It is a very unique stitch. But I think it's fine. I can manage it, I think, quite nicely. And it's so pretty. And the border to me is not boring. It is big. It is a big border. And yeah, it does take a lot of time. But it is so pretty. I stitched it on taupe 20 count Ada. And I stitch with silk Soie d'Alger, and I think it is the 4102. So it is a beige. On this fabric, it looks white, and I think it's perfect. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. That bird is beautiful. And I can't wait to stitch more in the middle to be honest with you. I think I will now sort of start again here and then stitch that row and then do the top row. Which it isn't a row, but to me it feels like one. Isn't that stunning? And the Swadelger has such a beautiful coverage on 20 count. Even with white. I mean, white snow with DMC is never pretty. At least not when I do it. But this is, yeah, this is beautiful. Plays beautifully. So there you are. That's another one I've been stitching on. Then I got this one out of, what was it, retirement, putting it on hold. I went to the hairdresser. I got a darker color as well in my hair. And I was sat there, I think for about 3 hours. She colored my hair 3 times because after the second round of coloring, it was almost orange. And we thought, that's not right. So she colored it again. And it ended up being this. And I decided to work on this one whilst that was set there. And I have changed the colors on this one. For those of you who've seen it before, it's green and pink. And I'm doing it, there are 3 of these. The other 2 I've already done, and I'm doing them in one piece. And this is where I am. I have added the section of faith. And now all I have to do is the flower on top of that. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. Faith, hope, and love. No idea what I'll do with it when it's finished. This seems like a good one to do with, in Dutch, it is a schellekoord. So it's sort of like a metal thingy here and then a metal thingy here, and it sort of hangs like that. It's not framed, it just hangs between those metal things. And I don't know what that's called in English, but I think that's what I'd like to do with this. Isn't that lovely? I quite enjoyed the faith section. And the interesting thing is, let me just put my tea on the side, is that this section I think looks so sweet and it is so simple. Such a simple design, but it really works. It really works. So I'm quite happy with this. If you're interested in my colors for this, my change of colors, just leave a comment. And in the next week, week and a half, I will try to comment and reply to you with my colors. There are 2 greens and there's 1 pink. But it is, I think it's lovely. And this is stitched on 18 count with 2 strands of floss. And they're all DMC. And I like that too. I think those 2 are my favorites. And I don't think I still work on 16 count. I think it's only 18 and 20 count now. Isn't that sweet? And mind you, you don't have to change the colors of the original because that is a beautiful color palette. It's just not my color palette. As you can see behind me, it is all very green. So yeah. And this one I also took out of retirement or hold or whatever it was. This is from, by the time I bought it, it was from Jackie Bow on Etsy. I think it is now AnnaXStitch. And the cross is like that, not the word cross. And I like it. The issue I have with this design is that it does not fit properly into Pattern Keeper. And so I'm working off a PDF on my phone and it's just not ideal. So I think I have to print it off. I should make an effort and do that. But I do love the scene. I think it is so sweet. And so I have taken it out of retirement and I've decided to stitch on it. And I've started again here. I haven't done much. I've only taken it out yesterday, but I thought I would show you this because I have not shown this for a really long time. And now you know that I'm working on it again. And I think it is very pretty. And it will be lovely when it's finished. And it will be lovely to put out next winter. But it is a big piece. It is bigger than you might think. And it's quite efficient with color. If you stitch a Marjolein Bastin, for instance, who also has scenes like this, you use a lot of colors and color changes. And with this, there is a lot less confetti or color changes. But it still has a nice effect. So I like it. So yes, this one is back in rotation. And this is an 18 count and 2 strands of floss. I love the color of that watering can. I love teal. Very pretty. So yeah, happy with that one. And then we have my last one, and I did a lot on this one. This is by Reflets de Soie. I don't know. And this is called Entrelacs Bleu. Or Entrelacs Bleu. I don't know. But it is very pretty. And I've done a lot. I've done all of this up here. This was sort of not here. So now it is there. So I think I stitched 1,000, over 1,000, 1,200 on this. So yeah, I love this. It is only about 5 colors on this, but the result is so delicate and I don't know, it suits my brocante style and my vintage style somehow. I stitched this with all the called for Soie d'Alger colors. I've tried, there's another one I'm stitching from them. I haven't worked on that for a long time, but I tried to use the DMC conversion, but DMC does not have these colors. There is no proper conversion for these blue gray colors. So I decided to go for the Soie d'Alger after all, and I mean that's a treat. That's my favorite floss. It's perfect to work with. This is a 20 count Ada, and I work with 1 strand of floss, and the coverage is perfect. And this one will be finished in a small pillow, so the corners of the piece will be folded um, towards each other. So yeah, it will be a small pillow in the end. But it is stunning to stitch. Stunning to stitch. I just kept going basically on this one. I kept thinking, oh, a little bit more. Oh, I'll do that corner motif. It's not that much. It is quite a bit of work, but yeah, it's beautiful. But this is also a big one. So I think this I think I'm about 26% now. So this is also a big stitch and it takes a lot of time. But the results are stunning, I think. I think it's stunning. So there we are. That's my last bit of progress on my cross stitching. And I've done quite a bit again, but a lot of my time is also put into my other coursework and so on. And then also, before I forget, because I have one more cross stitch thing to see, and I don't know how I'm going to do this because this thing is so enormous. So we're going to see how this works. I went thrifting and I do thrifting physically and I do thrifting online. So this was an online purchase. And I saw it and I thought, that's stunning. I should buy that. It was only 30 euros. So I thought, that's not much for such a thing. And only once I contacted the gentleman who was selling it, I realized how enormous it was. But he was happy to send it by mail. So I received it and I was in awe of this. Now, I was hoping that this would be a design I could reproduce. And I even contacted Jacob because I'm not sure from when this was. And you can't just reproduce everything that you find. So I asked him, what do you think? And he said, I'm not sure. So um, I don't know if I can reproduce this. So if you see this and you think, oh, I've seen that in a book somewhere or something, just let me know, because then that means I cannot reproduce it. Because I don't want to do somebody else's work that's already been done. But if it isn't in a book anywhere, this would be the most beautiful design to reproduce. Isn't that beautiful? How stunning is that? Look at the blue. Now, like I say, this is enormous and it is very, yeah. But how pretty is that? Look at those flowers. Can I put this down? Can you still see it like this? Not really. There you go. It looks like it's sort of fish or flowers around it. It is so, so pretty. And I don't know, I'm not sure. I even contact, because behind there you can see who framed it. Now that is a framer in the Netherlands, and I contacted them, and they're very recent. They remembered framing this piece, and they said it was difficult to frame it because the top is smaller than uh, the bottom. So they said it was difficult to get it into a frame. And so I asked them, do you know where this is from? And I asked the person who sold it to me, do you know where this is from? And they don't know. The shape looks a little bit like it is one of those massive chairs that have been embroidered. It is embroidered with wool. It is not DMC or anything. It is embroidered with wool, so that is old. Um, but yeah, I don't know when this was made. I have no idea. I can take it out of the frame, but I I'm not sure I want to, because it is absolutely beautifully framed. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I just think it's very pretty and it would be beautiful stitching this on a 20 count Ada, and making a reproduction of it. I think I would love doing that. So if you see this and you think, I have seen this in maybe a Berlin, is it a Berlin wool embroidery technique cross stitch thing? Uh, Maybe it is in one of those books, then just let me know. If you have one of those books, would you be so kind to have a look through it and see if it is in there? Because, like I say, I don't want to reproduce a pattern that is somebody else's, basically. But if it is 100 years old, I could. So yeah, we'll see. There's no rush. I'm working on the other one anyway for now. But yeah, I'd love to find out where this is coming from. And it is absolutely beautiful. One more look for all of you. Oh, isn't that stunning? Those flowers are just gorgeous. Gorgeous. I love that. So there we are. That's my thrift find that I was very, very happy to find online. And yeah, there are stunning pieces. There was one that I missed out on that I would have loved to have had. It was an Ave Maria red sampler. It was beautiful, but I was just too late. But there you go. That's also part of the whole thrifting game, isn't it? Right. I will move on to my embroidery, and if that's not for you, then I thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you are not yet subscribed but you like the video, please do subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram. You can find me on Etsy if you are interested in any of my patterns. And I thank you very much for watching. Right, my embroidery course is still great fun and still a lot of work, but I'm learning a lot, and I think I've decided I've actually reduced my work hours again. So now I work 3.5 days a week, so that the other day and a half I can focus on building a business around embroidery and cross stitch. Now the cross stitching designing part is for fun. I love that. I love my Etsy patterns. I get such a kick out of when I see that I've sold a pattern. So if any of you has done that, know that when I see that, my heart is jumping a little bit, and I'm like, oh, look at that, someone bought one. So for those of you who've done that, thank you very much. Um, but the embroidery part, my idea is to thrift clothing, embroider it, and then sell it as an upcycled garment or piece of clothing. So that's what I'm currently looking into. That's my idea. That's what I'm currently building a website for. And I'm going to show you I've shown you the sort of the orange scarf, I think last time, with the leaves embroidered on it. That's one piece. But I have now worked and finished on a second piece that is actually quite large. So I thrifted this lovely black jacket um, once, quite a while ago. Oh, the screen is terrible. Let me just let me just see if I can. Oh, that's better. Okay, let's see if that works. So this little jacket that would be perfect over a small black dress, for instance, is stunning. And I decided to add um, lace and then beading on it. Now, this is what happens every time I want to photograph or film this garment, because I don't know what happens, but the light does not reflect um, it like it does in real life. So I'm going to show you this really quick like this, and then I'm going to put in the pictures that I've taken where it finally worked, because it is very pretty, but it doesn't show properly. And I've taken a lot of time embroidering this, and this will be for sale um, in due course. If you're interested, just send me an email because that might be easier. But otherwise, it will be on my website in due course. It is an XL, extra large jacket. Um, so it is for a plus size lady like me. And I have already thrifted 3 other dresses, also for plus size ladies like me. And I will embroider those, and they will also at some point be for sale. But they are stunning dresses, very, very pretty. And also very cheap. Again, at my local thrift store, I think it was about €4 a dress or something, and they are beautiful dresses. Then this morning I decided to start my Goldwork assignment. I have a Goldwork assignment, and I have to I design a leaf design and then embroider it with Goldwork. And this is where I am at the moment. So I've done one of the leaves. I love Goldwork. I love it. I think it's stunning. So what I've done here is I've put felt, sort of straight strips of felt, in a way that it sort of bulges a little bit. And then on this one, you can already see that I've added the uh, gold pearl, and then in the middle, I've sort of turned and twisted a pearl string and added it. And this is so pretty. I think this will be lovely when it's finished. And the idea when it's finished, I found at my local thrift store. I found this beautiful black tie, and I thought, wouldn't it be lovely? And I think it's quite, um, it's hardly used, this tie. It's still in perfect condition. Wouldn't it be lovely at the bottom there to add this gold leaf embroidery on it? So that's the idea for this piece of embroidery and for this second-hand garment. Is a tie a garment? Not sure. But for this second-hand tie, I think that'd be lovely. And I have to say, this goes quite quickly. I don't know if I have enough gold to finish it, so I might have to order a bit more. But yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. Lastly, a project I'm working on is a scarf that I bought with my mother when we went to these craft fair in the Netherlands. I think it was last year or the year before that. It's quite a while now, a while ago now. But we came across a little stand, and it sold felt scarves that were made by ladies in Nepal. Nepal, is that how you say it? And they could make a living off of these making these scarves, and they were absolutely stunning. And I bought two, and my mum bought one. And this one has a beautiful leaf pattern made in the felt or by the felt. And I decided to embroider on that felt. Now let me see if I can. So each of the leaves will get some beading in the middle, in the stem, basically, of the thingy. Now, some I'm not sure about yet, but I think this section is very pretty. So I've added, it's quite understated, but it does give a little shimmering to the scarf. And it sort of works with the motif of the leaves. So it's quite a big scarf. I haven't done it. Um, I've only started basically. Not sure about that one because the beads are quite big. So I might want to change that one, take it out, start again. But the little ones are so sweet. And I do all this by hand. I don't use an embroidery hoop for this. I just embroider it by hand. And I do it twice. So I add the bead first. I add a string of beads. And then it's sort of lopsided everywhere. Then I go with my needle through all the beads in one go. And then I pull it. And then I go and couch again. So I couch and make sure that all the beads are couched onto the fabric. So I basically go through this 3 times to make sure that it's properly attached. For this is only a little bit, I don't couch. I just attach it and then go through it with one string from one side to the other. But I did the couching for this one again. I do a section of couching just to make sure it's properly attached. So isn't that lovely? I think that'll be a beautiful scarf once it's finished. And it will have some lovely little shimmering all over it. Again, I'm not sure about that grey one. I think that one's going to go. But the one in the corner is stunning, I think. I think. So that's all my embroidery endeavors. So I've got quite a bit to do still. The course is 9 months, so I have a couple of months left. I think we are moving towards making bigger pieces, and also there's room now to really focus on the thing you want to do basically in the future. So I'm going to continue trying to upcycle the second-hand options and the second-hand garments that I find. It's lovely thrifting for that as well. I've not thrifted clothes a lot, but I do enjoy it. It's difficult to find good quality clothes, so that's a lot of stuff that's hanging there cannot be used for this because if you put a lot of embroidery on it, it needs to be quite a sturdy garment or a sturdy dress. So you need a very specific kind of dress. But yeah, like I said, I've thrifted 3 dresses now, and I hope next time I can show you some of my work. If you're interested, I also post these things on my Instagram account. So once in a while you'll see an update on something I've made. And I think that's it. That concludes all my stitching, all my embroidery. I've had fun chatting to you about it. It's always fun to do that. I try to keep up with Flosstube. It is difficult because I'm so busy with all these different techniques and stuff. But it is good to see Barbara back. Barbara, who is stitching with stitching and tea with B. She was in hospital for a while, and it is so good to have her back on screen and knowing that she's home and that she is doing better, and she will take time to get better. So, Barbara, it's good to have you back. Yeah, and it's lovely to catch up with everyone. I want to thank Jason for shouting me out, for being kind about my designs. Um, I think it is good to have men on our Flosstube, so it's good to see what you're stitching and what you're doing. So thank you very much for being kind. And for all of you who have not yet watched him, please do have a look uh, because you'll see other kinds of things than things that I show you. So yeah, enjoy Flosstube. That goes for all of you. Enjoy everything that people put out, but also don't make it give you any pressure because that just stitch whatever you want and stitch on the number of whips that you can handle. Because if you take a deep dive into Flosstube, yeah, you can sort of get carried away of all the things and you think, oh, I should stitch all of it, but we can't stitch all of it. So there we are. I thank you very much for watching, and I thank you very much for the support. Um, Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. I would love to get to 5,000 subscribers, so if you can help me to get that, that'd be lovely. Give me a like on the video or a comment. All of those things really help to sort of keep the channel going. So I'd appreciate it if you can do that. And I hope to see you again in about 4 or 5 weeks. So yeah, thank you very much.